Welcome to another great edition of Beacons of Light. Joining me today is Miss Kat Brissette. Welcome to the show, Kat.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, you have such a big title at a national St. Vincent de Paul level. I said, I want you to kind of share with the audience the role you play at a national level.
Okay, yeah, so I'm the second vice president for the National Council of Society St. Vincent de Paul here in the U.S. And I also am the vice president of Youth, Young Adults, and Emerging Leaders. So do a little bit of both.
Well, tell me your focus on youth and emerging leaders. What's the focus of that for our local society?
Yeah, so a lot of people who are familiar with the society know that there's a lot of commitment involved and a passion to continue serving the poor to the best of our abilities, which sometimes is difficult for younger people who have a lot going on. But there is an immense population of young Catholic people who are looking for ways to live out their faith and grow in holiness. So it's an awesome opportunity for young people to get involved in the society. The society is founded by a young college student, Frederick Ozenon. So we like to remind young people that just because you're young does not mean that you can't make a huge difference in the community and grow in your faith and serve those in need. So Youth, Young Adults, and Emerging Leaders is to kind of help support that growth with our young people from across the country, give them opportunities to share their visions and their unique ideas on how we can serve those in need better.
And that's a great vision. And it's not only a national level, local level, and that's the goal, is to get a kind of a national push for people to embrace, I guess, the Ozanam spirit, that youthful Vincentian spirit that we talked about, just a little bit ago, about how, someone who is part of the Vincentian family, they're always trying to grow spiritually, right?
Yeah, we are. Blessed Frederick, when he started the society as a college student, he started because he was in college and he was having a debate and he was challenged by an atheist about, you have this faith, but what are you doing about it? It's that whole faith over works conversation that comes up all the time. So he felt the need to actually live out his faith and actually challenge himself, what am I doing about this? Yes. So I think that today in our world, it's a bit crazy out there, can be really discouraging and overwhelming. And it's an opportunity for us to really try to live out our faith and help change the view of our faith amongst those around us.
Well, I notice in today's world, everybody's kind of got, a route in their life, the way the pathway they're going. Yeah. And unlike maybe 50 years ago, it's not necessarily focused on faith, but what is your vision to kind of grab those young adults and the emerging leaders in the whole country and ultimately the whole world? How can we share that Vincentian gift of spirituality with them?
Yeah, I feel like we as a society and a church, we encourage service. A lot of our confirmation programs and Catholic schools require it. But what we don't do is help them understand how that service and what we're doing is really to help us grow in our faith. So, just going and helping out a food pantry is wonderful. But if you're not trying to understand and look for the face of Christ in those that we serve, also try to grow in your own humility and kind of learn more about how God wants us to treat other people. Those opportunities are so fantastic within the society. And it's one of those things that we're halfway there. We're encouraging people to do it. We have young people who are volunteering, but how do we turn that volunteering into their vocation to serve those in need and to love thy neighbor?
And I think what you said was so critical. I mean, I think I've seen that not only with those who are younger, but also older, connecting action with their faith, because that's the only way you can grow spiritually. If you go and you serve meals, that's one thing. But if you go and serve Christ and you see the face of Christ in each person, it changes the whole paradigm. I mean, it shifts everything, doesn't it?
It really does. It really does. You're starting to strike conversations and you're trying to help show the value and the human dignity in those that we're serving to each other even. It really helps put life in perspective. And all of a sudden, the more you do it, you start to see how you change the way that you talk to other people. And in the real world, a lot of times, once we go to church, we behave a particular way. When we serve, we behave a particular way. But when we go back to our lives, we leave that all at the door. So trying to help provide opportunities for people to continue living out their faith in a day-to-day life. Yeah.
It's important. I mean, and in today's world, I mean, there's so many things coming at people who are younger that my generation, I'm 57, I didn't have, you know? And so the challenges are much greater today than they were just 15 years ago, right?
Yeah, they are. And I feel like sometimes people think that like the church is not thriving. But we were actually just at Seek a few weeks ago in St. Louis, which is a huge Catholic conference for college students. And we had a workshop for St. Vincent de Paul there. And, you know, you see all of these young people who are trying to figure out ways that they can continue their lives and do the things that they would love to do, but also figure out more ways to grow in holiness on a day-to-day basis. And so we were able to kind of help share with other young people the opportunities that are out there. And also the challenge that if the opportunity is not there yet, there's no reason why you can't get involved on your own and start your own with your own friends and help the society in different ways.
Trying to change the world one person at a time, right?
For sure.
And you know, one of the powerful things about our society is our rule and our I guess our overall view that the world's ever changing and we've got to change to make a difference. Why is that important to you as a Vincentian?
Yeah, you know, in the rule it says no act of charity is foreign to the society. And it's one of those things that, you know, people are still hungry. You know, across the board, everywhere you go, centuries, years, different countries, wherever you are, food is something that will never change. But there are new challenges that people who are living in poverty face. And there are new ways that we can help serve those who are living in poverty and continue to grow in our own holiness through that service. So being able to kind of adapt to the changing world and figure out new ways that we can kind of encourage more positivity in the world and share Christ's love with others. Through COVID, like we saw different things that some of our young people were trying to figure out ways to continue serving, whether they were helping the local St. Vincent de Paul food pantry with like the drive-up food sites, or writing notes to elderly who are in nursing homes and just coming up with new ways to kind of continue to serve. There's so many opportunities out there. There's a huge push for advocacy and like using our voice and our abilities to be able to help bring attention to the needs of those around us. So there's just so many different ways that we can serve and so many different opportunities out there. And it's important that we continue to kind of adapt to the world around us so that we can continue to make a difference.
Well, that's powerful. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit with Kat about her own spiritual life, her spiritual growth, what her focus is, and why it's so essential as part of her faith life. We'll discuss that and a lot more when we come back. For over 20 years, the St. Vincent de Paul Community Pharmacy has served our area. We provide prescription medicines for those who have nowhere to turn for this most basic healthcare need. Please, if you need your medicine or you know a family member that needs their medicine, contact us. Kay, how can they get in touch?
383-7450.
Give us a call today and spread the word so that we can ensure no one goes without their prescription medication. Welcome back to Beacons of Light. Joining me today is Kat Brissette, and she's talking about her spiritual life and the importance of her Vincentian ministry in her life. So, you know, you were attracted to the society because you had a good foundation. Tell us about your spiritual life.
Yeah. So growing up, my family was always super Catholic, as we like to call it. So I had always been brought up in the environment of the church and understanding the importance of our faith in our lives. From a young age, I had always wanted to serve the poor. I have a love for Mother Teresa and Saint Therese and just being able to use our faith to give love to other people. So growing up, we had done different things and had volunteered in different capacities. Our mom really kind of showcased that for us and kind of led us in that direction. So I have 3 brothers, and my mom had started working for the society when I was just finishing up high school. They were still in high school and middle school, and so we were around the society a lot. And we were seeing some of these Vincentian superheroes out there who were doing all kinds of things to serve those around us. And you can only sit by for a short period of time before you really need to just stand up and start helping. So that's what me and my brother started doing. And just like Blessed Frederick, who grabbed his friends, we started to encourage our friends to come along with us. So we started serving alongside our Vincentian superheroes. And when you're young, you might not do the exact same things that a full Vincentian would be doing, but it starts to kind of help inspire your future development in the society. So I was always inspired by what they were doing, and I just wanted to continue serving and doing more. So we started volunteering, and we started our own program called Necessities for Neighbors with some of our friends. So we started collecting toiletries that went out to all of our food pantries and soup kitchens in St. Vincent de Paul and Rhode Island. And it was a way that some of our young people could kind of volunteer on their own time and still support the larger mission. And as time went on, we did our own Ozanam orientation, and we joined our real conference, as we like to call it. So I started off as vice president at my conference at my home parish at St. Mark's. Now I am the secretary, and my brother is one of the vice presidents. But it was an opportunity where, we were able to start going on home visits at a young age, and we started to understand the struggles that families were facing. And it really makes you so grateful for the ability to know God through struggle. And be able to kind of share God's love through other people's struggles. Sometimes some of the families that we meet, they have had not so great interactions with the church. Typically, sometimes people we mess up.
Right.
We're all humans.
That's
and
right.
Unfortunately, we hold the ability to make or break people's trust in the church. But oftentimes, like last week, I was sitting with a neighbor in need, and we were sitting on the couch and we were talking, and we started talking about faith because she had a situation, and she had turned away from the church and turned away from God. And we were trying to remind her about how there are still blessings in her life. And we're sitting here because we know that she's loved and she's valued, and she's going to get through this because God loves her. So it was just like an awesome opportunity to kind of help other people come back to faith, as well as kind of strengthen our own faith as we go. So it's an awesome opportunity. I work with a lot of young people. So I run a youth ministry program, but I also help with our youth and young adult volunteers in Rhode Island. And we also have a specific youth conference at the church that I do youth ministry with. So it's awesome seeing these young minds start to understand, what we're called to do as Christians and what it means to be followers of Christ, and how we can continue to help one another, we can serve one another, and we can learn more about our faith. The world around us doesn't really encourage that. We are constantly seeing negativity, and people put other people down who don't believe in the same things that they believe. But it's an opportunity to turn the tables. And it doesn't matter where you come from or who you are or what you've done in the past. God still loves you, and we're still here to help you. And so it's an awesome opportunity to see young people see that and learn how to interact in that same kind of way.
That's the Vincentian charism definition. What you said in one little package. It's recognizing Christ in others, and then trying to do our best to follow Christ's call to seek and find the forgotten. That's just so powerful. Now, one of the things you shared with me when we were off camera was you have a special superhero. And I asked you, even before you told me a little bit about your mother, you mentioned a few things, and You explained to me what she did as the executive that covers the whole diocese of Providence, which is the whole state of Rhode Island.
Yeah.
And with just a small staff, she does a remarkable job. And I asked you if she took her superhero cape off when she went home. I mean, she's a remarkable example, huh?
Yeah, she has always been a super fantastic example. She's a mom of 4 of us, and I think she did a pretty good job with us. I think we're all.
I think she did.
We do our best. We're a little bit crazy, but we have this like unbreakable bond as a family.
Right.
And those happen through struggles in
Right.
life. God never promised us that life was going to be easy, and it's never going to be picture perfect.
Right.
But He blesses you with opportunities and people in your lives that make the world a better place. And so my mom is definitely that for our family. So from as long as I can remember, she just always was working so hard to help everybody around her. And obviously, taking care of 4 of us, she needed some work. So she had worked at an inner city school, a Catholic school that was helping provide opportunities for young students to be able to learn more about God, but also be able to have an education in a different type of environment than what is provided to them. But when she started with the society, it was very small in Rhode Island. It kind of ebbs and flows. We're the smallest state, so you know how it goes. But she started off in a small closet, and with all of our Vincentians around us and her dedication to the Vincentian mission, she was able to kind of help the society grow in Rhode Island. So over the years, we've expanded our services, and we have a warehouse that has our clothing operations, and we do disaster services, and it's where our Necessities for Neighbors program is, and it's basically the support system for all of the 24 conferences that are doing the day-to-day service to those in need. So she made sure that we all had the opportunities to be able to experience the wonderful opportunity that St. Vincent de Paul is. And we were encouraged by her and those Vincentians around her, and that's how we all got started. So we always joke that like our family vacations are at national assemblies where we get to see our long lost aunts and uncles and grandparents in the society, because we've grown up alongside these amazing Vincentians all over the country.
Well, that's fabulous, and you're a remarkable member of our Vincentian family. So is your mom and your brothers. When we come back, we'll continue talking to Kat about the importance of our society and how we can spread that gift of ministry throughout our country and world. The Society of St. Vincent de Paul's first cookbook, Taste and See, is the gift which helps share the goodness of the Lord with those most in need. Featuring recipes from Chef John Foles, each chapter begins with a short story about one of our special work programs. To order your copy of Taste and See, please call the Society or visit our website. Help multiply blessings for the neediest in our community. Here with Kat Brissette. We're having a wonderful conversation about the gift of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul. And when I was growing up, great parents, great mom and dad. And it was always important to go to church. And the only reason you missed church was like if you were in the hospital. And I joked off camera that if I missed church and I wasn't at church, then Dad might have put me in the hospital. And I'm just joking. My dad's a great dad. He would never do that. But a lot of the younger Catholics, sometimes they don't get to Mass or they don't see that urgency. Why is ministry so important about connecting them to their faith?
Yeah, I feel like ministry and being able to see the church in action is such an awesome way to kind of help young people see the importance of our faith. Sometimes you go to church and you sit and you hear a homily, and then again, you walk out and you're like, but none of this is what I see in the world. It says love thy neighbor. You go outside and everybody's screaming and yelling and people are honking at you, and it's just like a negative environment. You hear teachings, and some young people aren't 100% sure how to feel about certain teachings, and there's opportunities for our church to help young people start to take steps forward in faith. It's an invitation to let Christ into your life, and that invitation can start with an invitation to serve. Much more common to get a young person to feed somebody at a soup kitchen than to get them to commit to mass, confession, and all of these other things. Now, the hope is that as you begin to introduce them to more people from the church, you get them in an environment where they're not so intimidated by the church, they'll start to hear and see those around them and start to encourage them to ask more questions and feel more comfortable learning about their faith. The Society of St. Vincent de Paul, we have like the 3 pillars, and it's friendship, service, and spirituality. So if we're just focused on friendship, we're not doing it right. If we're just serving people, we're not doing it right. And the spirituality part is what kind of connects it all and makes it so wonderful. If we didn't have Mass and if we weren't, growing in that spirituality, there's no way we would keep doing what we do. Vincentians have long hours of service. I work full time, and so I come home from work and I run out and do 3 home visits before I come home and have dinner. So it's not a casual low key thing. It's a continual vocation that we're working at. And, it's easy to get discouraged in different situations and with the world around us. But, if the spirituality aspect of things is at the center and we're really asking God to show us what He's trying to teach us and how He can use us in the lives of others, that's where it all kind of makes more sense and all comes together. Being able to build these friendships with our people who sit in the pews next to us, it makes them feel like they have another family. We all struggle together and we go through things together and we stress over the neighbors that we're serving's bills, and we take on those families that we're working with. But we can't take it on by ourselves, because then we're just going to be an overwhelmed mess as well. So, being together in that friendship and being able to serve together and pray together through all the difficulties, it's incredible to see the effects that has on other people.
The society gives you the opportunity to kind of do an inventory of the blessings in your life, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And that is in itself something that you say, thank God for all those blessings. And it also, I think in today's world, whether it's youth or whether it's older adults like myself, there's an emptiness. And sometimes that's bad, and the only way to fill that emptiness is with Christ.
Yeah. And we have the opportunity to invite people into those relationships. I talk about this a lot with some of our Vincentians who are trying to figure out ways to get more youth and young adults involved. I'm like, well, have you invited anyone? Like your kids, your grandkids, the kid who sits in front of you at Mass? A lot of them are trying to find a connection to the church. They're trying to figure out their place within the church. And nobody's really taking the time to invite them in and giving them the opportunity to see what our church is all about. So I always encourage people, give that invitation. Even our potential new Vincentians, it's just as important to show them the face of Christ and look for the face of Christ in them as it is those that we serve. We have to treat everybody with such love and respect and let them know that they are important and wanted and needed and part of our family. I feel like we've fallen away from the friendship within our church, and I think that St. Vincent de Paul provides that opportunity to kind of help people feel connected.
Well, I think that's so important because, often when I go to a group, and I'll give you an example. A couple of years ago at a Nazarim training, we had mostly new Vincentians with some senior Vincentians in there. And I basically in my opening remarks, I basically said that if you're here to help someone, you're in the wrong place. And all the senior Vincentians says they knew exactly where I was going.
Yeah.
And the new Vincentians was like, well, that's why I'm here. And so I then explained it's about helping others, but when you help others, you grow spiritually in such a way you get so much more than you could ever give.
Yeah. It's one of those things that might be the reason why you started, but it's not the reason why you stay. And
that's right.
That's where that Vincentian vocation versus volunteering comes in.
Yes.
Because if it's a vocation, you're hooked.
That's right.
Because you know that every single struggle that you're facing in that conference meeting, every single thing that you're doing, it's all for the greaterness of your faith and
Right.
and growing in that holiness.
Exactly.
Versus if you're just volunteering, it gets discouraging. There, you don't want to keep going through what we go
Right.
through, but Christ brings opportunities out of the service that we do, and it helps us in so many ways that like it's just incredible, life-changing.
It is life-changing. And I know an older Vincentian, and I've known him for many decades. And one time he told me, Michael, Vincentian never judges. They evaluate how they can help the situation through sharing God's love. And that's what Vincentian ministry is all about, right?
Yeah, it is.
Well, I think that as Vincentians, what would your message be to the 20-year-old, the 15-year-old, the 20-year-old, the 50-year-old, and even the 70-year-old about joining the society?
Invitations. Invite people to encounter Christ. Invite people back into our church. Invite them to serve alongside you. We're growing in holiness and we're taking our friends with us. So why not grab more friends along for the ride? And you'll see that the more people who are trying to grow in that holiness together, the more it inspires those around them. So keep doing what everybody's doing and invite more people to join us.
You've been a member of the society now for a long time, from early in life, and you've seen changes. But one thing has been clear and consistent: our call to seek and find the forgotten, most of all, to grow spiritually in doing that. And why do you think that's something that is always going to be strong?
Because that's what we're called to do. That's our mission on earth. Christ told people to go out, spread the word, and to love one another. And it's not going to change. The world might change a bit around us, but it's not, unfortunately, not changing for the better. So we might as well, try to do what we can do and continue on our path forward.
With about 30 seconds to go in our show, I always go to the scripture where it says, love one another. And think about all the problems in the world, Kat. What problem does loving one another not solve?
Nothing. What we need is more love in the world, and to talk to people with love, to treat people with love, to guide people with love. Sometimes it is a tough situation where we have to tell people, but if we tell them the right way, and if we show them that everything's coming out of love, it makes a whole difference.
No doubt. Well, Kat, thank you for being on the show. She's a terrific guest and inspired me throughout the entire show. We hope you enjoyed today's show. Watch us next week on Beacons of Light.